Okay, so it's really important that, especially for us that have been practicing for 5 or 10 or 15 years, we get a little bit lazy with our motivation. We say, oh yes, I'm here to meditate and may I benefit all sentient beings. But to some extent, it's not vivid, or it can be, depends on each individual. I'm not saying that we don't have it, but I know that sometimes practitioners of 5 or 10 or 15 years sort of say, oh, gee, not much is happening in my practice. And what's important to understand is that it's actually because maybe we're not motivating well enough, and we're not actualizing our wisdom or our compassion to actually make them be the accumulator of merit. So in regards to that, excuse me, in regards to that, then this sort of, Trijin Rinpoche once said to me, he said, when you start your motivation, although it will be for the benefit of all sentient beings, you start with somebody that you love. So it's a family member, and for some of us that are single, it can be a pet. Because if you have love for that pet, then you can say, I would like to offer a more enlightened relationship to that pet or to these people in my life. And that's why I'm attending the class. And there you've accumulated some very substantial karma, because you touched your heart, you touched your feelings for that person, and then you turned it around and you said, that's why I'm here tonight. So just bring to mind, again, someone that you care about, and say, I'm attending this class for meditation, and I'm attending it to be able to offer a better relationship, a more enlightened relationship. And then, finally, can I offer complete enlightenment for the benefit of all? And so with that thought in front of us, we should feel that, or just maybe you could say the omniscient mind of the Buddha is in front of us, or you can actually just feel that the Buddha is in front of you if you have an altar. So I in front of me on the other side of my camera, I have a Buddha. So I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha from now until enlightenment. I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. And although that's not your traditional prayer that we say, that's one that I did with my family when I lived in Canada, because I had 2 stepchildren. And it was to give them an idea of what Buddhism is about without too much. And then sometimes their friends would come for dinner, and so then they would learn a little bit about Buddhism, and mostly the work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I think it was a nice message. Anyway, so I like doing that one for sort of a more general, for someone, if someone hears it, they have a general idea of what Buddha Dharma is about. So with that, then the class we're going to do is meditation. But I want to start off with sort of a really, let's say, the glee club of breathing meditation. And why? Because I've actually been practicing for 51 years. On top of that, I did a 3-year retreat. On top of that, I've done the preliminary practices multiple times. I mean, I've really put my time in, and that was mostly when I was a monk. And then since then, I was married in Canada for 18 years and raised 2 kids. And now I live in Mexico. I've been here for actually 18 years. Sort of, I guess maybe there's an 18-year cycle for me or something. But because I was 19 when I left Canada and arrived in India, so I was 20. They say there's your 18 years. Then I was a monk for 14 years. Didn't quite make it to 18. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm way off topic. Forgive me. Anyway, point being is that all those years, I can tell you that your breathing meditation and Tonglen, or giving and taking, are unbelievably central to our practice. And I'll explain why. And that's what I wanted to start with, is that we're going to focus for our meditation object, breathing meditation. And although there are some, for example, if you practice Tantra, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that, for example, identification with the deity is a very easy way to develop shamatha, or calm abiding, or shine, whatever you want to call it, and such. And that's true. It is. There's a very easy manner with just self-identification and then the image of the deity. But when we're out and about and being busy, unless you've got a fairly substantial practice, it's not easy to invoke the deity in the middle of a difficult situation. But you always have your breathing. And so this is quite important. And for those of you that might have done some neuroscience, neurology, with the functioning of the brain, that if you have something that is sensual, it actually becomes a very powerful way to remember that object. So anyway, I'll explain it as we go along. So breathing meditation, of course, you may be familiar with the traditional one. It's breathing with the sensations at the edge of the nose or something like that. But with some research, they found that actually movement of your chest is a little bit better. And the reason for that is because, well, it's sensation. So whether you did the area of the nose, that's sensation. Whether you do the chest, it's sensation. And it brings you more to your body, into your body, if you use the chest. Okay, so that's first off. If we identify, I'm going to do breathing meditation. Okay, it's going to be the sensations as my chest rises and falls. Now, part of that then also is if you think of your mind, and I like to do it in your hand. You have 5 senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. And then you have your personality, all of the sort of conscious parts about yourself. That would be, your feelings and your perceptions and your thoughts and your conscious energy. Okay, I mean, that's there. And then the most subtle mind is the base of your hands. That's your Buddha nature, your general personality, and the 5 sense doors. So when you meditate, what you're trying to do is to bring yourself to be more peaceful. And if you're really good, you maybe could get down closer to your Buddha nature, which is a very profound state of meditation. But how do you do that? Well, you take one of the sense doors. So when you're meditating, if you had, we have eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Okay, you're actually doing body. That's the little guy here. And what you're focused on is sensations. So the other 4 sense doors become a little bit quiet. So, for example, that's why you leave your eyes either closed or just sort of focus about a yard or 2 in front of you. For noise and such, that's part of learning how to meditate properly, is you don't worry about what sounds there are. And again, I'll discuss that. We've got 4 sessions of meditation to go through. So that's the second point. The sounds, and of course, smell, don't worry about. Taste, we don't worry about. But we're into sensation. So we focus on one of the sense doors, sensation, and it's involved with breathing. Okay, so that's the basis. Now, why do you pick breathing? First off is because it's always there. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it means you're dead. That's a joke, guys. Anyway, so we always have breathing. And then breathing is an incredible, let's say, signpost for what's going on. Like when you're anxious, you'll find short, we call upper chest breathing. If you're deeply asleep, you'll be down in the depths of your lungs. And of course, very deep, slow breathing because you're incredibly relaxed and unconscious. But what we want is just completely natural breathing, no special control, just a natural cycle. And what would that mean? It means your body becomes very peaceful. Now, if you've been in, let's say nowadays, there's a huge amount of material on mindfulness. I mean, they don't like saying meditation because it's too Buddhist, so they say mindfulness, which is perfectly okay, because it gives it that people might get involved. But mindfulness, in the research, that they've found that the people that, let's say, develop it get so many benefits, improvement of memory, improvement of focus, you have better handles on stress, all sorts of things. This is mindfulness. Normally it's mindfulness of breathing. So when the body when your breathing is natural, it means your body is relaxed. Your body's just like it's in, I use the example, it's like if you turn on your car and you let it idle, it just sort of goes, it's just purring, okay? So when you allow yourself to have perfectly natural breathing, no special control or anything, just being mindful of it, your body gets very relaxed. And this is where all of the material on mindfulness is just so incredible because, I mean, they have statistics with no no idea of becoming enlightened, nothing. Just you focus on the breathing and mindfulness of breathing. And within 2 months, your memory is going to get better, your focus is better, your ability to deal with stress is better, all sorts of incredible things. No motivate, none of the wonderful things that Buddhism can offer you. That's just mindfulness of breath. Incredible. So throw in motivation, a better understanding of ourself, the graduated path to enlightenment, and you have an incredible practice there. But anyway, that's mindfulness and then breathing, okay? So I'm just saying that Buddhism is really great. But coming back to just the basic mindfulness of natural breathing, your body relaxes, and then actually it said even your immune system improves. So, this is just straight out of mindfulness. You can go and Google it anytime you want, with Llama Google, and they'll get all sorts of interesting things. So it's great. So first off, this natural breathing, mindfulness of natural breathing, natural benefits will come about. But the second thing is, if you develop, and this is more a Buddhist point of view, if you develop that familiarity with the sensation, then actually, as time passes, well, I like to call it your personal space develops. It means is that you're not so reactive. You're not like an electric wire with very little insulation. You've got some padding around you. And what it is calm abiding, peacefulness. The more you're familiar with it, and you've tied it with your breathing. So as soon as you bring your mind, like let's say suddenly somebody's in front of you and they're saying that you're a horrible person or something like that, or whatever, you bring your mind to your breathing. Well, if you've done it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, it automatically gives you personal space. Like you literally invoke it spontaneously, and it gives you that opportunity to say, okay, what do I want to say to this person? How do I want to react? So it's unbelievable, with long-term process. Okay, so we have, we're going to talk about body posture and all those details, so don't worry about that. I'm just getting you, get excited about your breathing meditation. Okay, so natural cycle of breathing calms your body down, calms your mind down. Then all of the benefits of mindfulness meditation you can throw in there, which is the memory and the focus, and your immune system improves, and et cetera. Okay, all of those things happen. Just that. Okay, then as you develop that, and because we're Buddhists, we're trying to deal with our delusions to not be reactive. For a Mahayana Buddhist, we're trying to be a benefit to sentient beings, being a bodhisattva. Then, if you developed it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, you've got this incredible sort of personal space, and it's not egocentric. It's just my personal space. And then bring your mind and attention to your breathing, and automatically, boom, it's there. And so you can the thing, because again, if we look at the way mind works is, the mind picks an object and then it focuses on that. So somebody calls you a bad word, and I won't say any bad words, or maybe I'll say a Spanish bad word. So you're a pendejo, a pinchy pendejo, okay? Because maybe none of you know what I just said because you don't know Spanish, okay? So the point is then, and so your mind grabs that. So as Shantideva says, as long as you hold on to that object, you will burn. It's like if it's a coal, if it's fire, as you hold that mind. But that's because your mind's holding that object. So instead, okay, somebody says you're a pinchy pendejo, okay, you shift your mind to your breathing, you've shifted off the object. Now, of course, if they hit your button a little bit hard, personal button about yourself or something, okay, it's a little harder, but it's not impossible. And if you've developed 6 months, a year, 2 years of breathing meditation, you've got a lot more control. You can disengage that object, let go of that fire, that coal, and you stop burning yourself, and you stop being angry, or stop being reactive, however you want to refer to it. So there's another sort of way of a Buddhist looking at it, that our mind holds on to or grasps at certain things, and then that creates, our situation, our emotional response. And especially things that are unpleasant. We hold it, and then we get angry, and then we even hold a grudge, and then 2 years later we're still angry with the person because we're holding on to that object. So building up personal space by your natural breathing, mindfulness meditation gives you that ability to shift off, and then you have choices. If we look at for example, how to deal with anger. there's all these different techniques that we can use, I mean, like that, like one of the best one, if someone's angry with you, is just realize they're actually really unhappy. It's so simple. I mean, when someone starts to call you bad things or starts to criticize you, they're just unhappy. And if you have a Buddhist perspective, they're suffering. So rather than taking it personally, your mind focuses on, wow, this person's really suffering very badly. Look how upset they are because they're holding on to something that made them feel unhappy. So that's a technique within Buddhism about how to, for example, one thing, how to not be quite as reactive to anger, to someone's angry at you. Okay. Now, so what your mind is focused on them with the perspective, ooh, this person's unhappy. They're suffering. That's why they're expressing all of these ugly words and this horrible face in front of them and stuff like that. And you can even have actually compassion and love for the person if you really can touch that. So anyway, point being is I'm talking about the mind and mind picking an object to focus on. So building up your mindfulness breathing meditation, very, very beneficial because your mind can shift to it. The more you have familiarity, the more you will be able to have personal space, not be as reactive and benefit yourself, possibly benefit the situation, okay? Then the other thing is, if you do practice a fair deal, okay, you can attain deep levels of focus and concentration because, for example, you actually start off with sensation, movement of the chest, okay? And then it's the breathing. And then actually with some ability, you'll start to become just conscious energy. As you can say, you can start to realize mind or consciousness itself, which is your mind, actually. Mind and consciousness are similar. So that, and then you can move to actually a formless meditation because you've gone through it. But that's deep meditation. That's not something superficial. But that's one thing that's thing. The other side is Tantra. There's a whole series of very, very powerful meditations that you can do. It's called Vajra breathing. And all of that is mindfulness of breathing. So again, if you think breathing meditation is not Tantra, it's completely Tantra. It's all completion stage levels of Tantra. So therefore, really, breathing meditation is an incredible thing. Okay. Now, if you are a Mahayana Buddhist, and you can then throw in some Tonglen or giving and taking, you've got an unbelievably good practice there. You've got bodhicitta. You've got a whole way of just breathing cognition of suffering and compassion. Inhale the cognition of a suffering situation, exhale compassion. It's based on your empathy, which we'll talk about that again later. We talked about it in some of the previous classes, but I'll talk about that more extensively later. But for right now, I'm just in the glee club of your breathing meditation is unbelievably important. It'll be the foundation of you having so much good abilities into the future, okay? So don't think that breathing meditation is not so good. You can put bodhicitta into breathing meditation. That's your Tonglen. You can put detachment into breathing meditation because it's impermanent, always changing. It is karma in the sense of, if I don't breathe, I'm not going to give me the causes and circumstances of life and I'll die, So again, you could do it with karma. It's incredible. In fact, even then, I've explained this before, but I think it's a great way to look at understanding the voidness in the sense of not being self-existent, independently self-existent. Okay, right now you're sitting there listening to me. Well, have you ever considered you're actually immersed in the atmosphere? We're no different than a fish in a swim tank. It's just our medium. Air is a little bit thinner and lighter than water, but we're immersed in a medium. If that medium wasn't continuously 100% around us, we'd be dying, or suddenly you go, I can't breathe because there's no air in that area. But no, we're immersed. Okay, so literally every part of your body from your toes to your crown of your head is immersed, like being touched by the water of the atmosphere. And then take a breath and it's penetrated you and it's gone into the tissue of your lungs, and it's just for the magic of our body, it's transferred over to the blood and to the cells of the blood, and then it's moved to your heart, and then it's fed your heart, oxygen that keeps it alive. You don't have a heart attack, and then it goes down into your organs and all through your body. And I even say your skin is an organ. It's breathing too. So suddenly you can say, whoa, my consciousness of my breathing meditation with a wisdom perspective is my lack of independently being self-existent. So then you can live in that. And literally, it massages your whole attitude. Like, yeah, I mean, I think naturally you become an environmentalist because suddenly you realize this planet isn't a resource. It's my home. It's literally, I'm swimming in this environment. I need to have, it needs to be a taken care of environment. We can't just use and abuse. Anyway, I'm a little off topic, but it's still part of the whole thing of breathing meditation's unbelievable. You don't have to think, oh, it's just so thing. I want to practice tantra and I want to cite a mantra. Okay, great, no problem. But breathing meditation is really good. I mean, when someone's getting angry at you and you have to sit there and say, oh, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, then people think you're a bit weird. If you just sit there, someone's angry at you and you just start breathing, they'll think, well, what's that person doing? They're not reacting. It's sort of like, anyway, so breathing meditation, very good. I really want you to appreciate it as having incredible benefits, okay? So that's just the introduction. Breathing meditation's incredible. Okay, now we are talking of the movement of your chest, and there's been research on it, and although the nose and the nostrils is good, it's a little bit like outside of your body, or it's sort of, it's not if you do it with your chest, you're sort of much more in your body, and that can be very beneficial, okay? So that's just the first thing, glee club of breathing meditation. Now, the next thing, again, posture. I mean, we're almost slightly familiar with the 7 points of Vairochana and such. There is, I have to, for example, I'm in my 70s, so I have to sit in a chair. I can sit cross-legged for a little while, and if it's properly positioned and stuff, I can do it for even a little longer. But generally speaking, can't sit anymore cross-legged. My knees get too freaked out, and my back hurts. So what's the point of torture in trying to sit cross-legged? So I sit in a chair, and I do retreat sitting in a chair. It's not impossible. Now, you need to have a little bit of good posture. You can't be slouching in a chair or being a lazy boy. That's not good. But sitting upright in your chair. So legs crossed or not? Okay, yes or no. Spine erect, very good. It's good to have something. I mean, we've got 4 classes of this, so let's not be in a rush. In fact, I'm going to open it up to questions and answers in a few minutes because they say that, it's good to participate, and I'm monologuing right now. So let's just say that spine erect, why? Well, if you took a lung and you can't stand it up, it just turns into this slobby little sack. Okay, why? Because it's totally supported by ribs and spine and bones and muscles, okay? So your lungs have no physical strength whatsoever. They can't flex their muscles. But your ribs and the muscles in between your ribs and your diaphragm, all of that does what's breathing. So if you sit like this, and I don't know if you can see it because I'm the way my camera is placed, but if I sit like that, I've decreased my breathing ability by 30 or 40%. So sitting upright, shoulders back a little bit, I've got 100% possibility. And the main thing is my diaphragm can move easily. My chest and the muscles, the ribs and things can expand and contract easily. I'm facilitating 100% breathing potential. So therefore, the reason that the spine is erect is because it supports your lungs. And oxygen is the fuel of our being. In fact, get a little bit too little oxygen in your brain and you get confused and have problems. So oxygen is really, really important. So posture, shoulders just a little bit back or comfortable, spine erect. Now, again, this is, most of you know the 7 points, but I'm just trying to give them some other, to give you some ideas why. So hands on your lap, of course, traditional is left hand down, right hand down, top thumbs touching. And part of that is that they say there's actually acupuncture nerve channels in our body. And when your left hand down, right hand on top, thumbs touching, and I guess you could do right hand down, left hand on top, thumbs touching. I've got students that need to do it that way. I don't see there's a problem. But the point of thumbs touching, that gives you what's called a psychic circuit. It's sort of your heart chakra. So that's that particular point. The other one is thumbs and first finger touching on your thighs or on your knees. That's again a posture. That again gives you a circuitry. And just to give you an idea of that, if you were to be doing psychic heat meditation or bliss of inner fire or something like that, you put your thumbs at the base of your ring fingers and form a fist around them, because your ring fingers on both sides are the channel of your abdomen, and that's for psychic heat. Now that's something we're not doing that, but I'm just giving you, like, your fingers have channels and stimulate nerves. Maybe they're not physical nerves, they're energy nerves, but the thing is the thing. So that's why your hands. They do say have your elbows a little bit away from the body, or not touching, because if it's hot, it'll make you too hot. But again, just do whatever is comfortable. When I was young, you put your hands at the level of your navel approximately, and if you've got good meditation, they don't move. You don't need to have them resting on your lap. But again, that's if you're young. I'm old now, so I like my hands on my lap. Or you could put a little pillow there if you wanted. But the point is that that's the posture of the hands mainly is the nerve channel, the acupuncture channel of your heart chakra. And so that's why you do that particular posture. And or thumbs and first finger, okay? And just elbows a little away from the body, third point. Fourth point, your head just a little bit forward, because your head weighs, I don't know, something like 10 kilos, like 10 or 15, 20 pounds. It's actually quite a heavy little piece of stuff. So you want it to be sort of balanced. So it's not like too upright, just a nice posture. Now, I have seen some people sort of try and drop it way down like that. And sort of, it's like chin to the throat almost. But no, there's some yoga things you do like that. But in this case, no. Your head just a little bit forward so it's balanced, because it weighs a lot. And I remember when I was in India, one Tibetan Lama mentioned that, you don't want your head a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left, because it actually stimulates nerves in your system and can cause you some problems. So you want your head to be forward. And if you do meditate with a group and see somebody that's got their head sort of off to kank to one side, you try to just politely sort of say, you try to have your face, be all in a vertical line, straight line like that. Nose, chest, everything nice and straight. And supposedly there's some nerve channels that get affected if you put your head to the left or right side a little bit too much, okay? So that's the head, fourth point. Fifth point, okay, well, you do your jaw if you wanted. Your jaw should be, your mouth should be closed and tongue behind the front teeth. Again, all of this you most likely already know. And the commentary is that why do you do that? Because you don't want to drool when you're meditating, because there's nothing worse than a drooling meditator. Okay. Anyway, some of you guys never laugh, do you? Okay. Anyway, okay. So mouth closed like that. But for example, I have an inability to breathe through my left nostril. It's blocked, and I don't know why. I haven't gone to a doctor to see what's happening inside of it. But I have to breathe sometime with my mouth open. So if you have asthma or other things, you could breathe with your mouth open. In fact, there is some Nyingmapa techniques, I think, in Dzogchen where you breathe with your mouth open. So it's not like a necessity that you breathe with only the nostrils. But again, it depends on you. But generally speaking, mouth closed, jaw comfortable, don't clench it or anything like that, and tongue up to the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. Mouth, that's point number 5. Number 6 is the eyes, just about a yard or two in front of you, casual gaze. And again, maybe you've heard about it, it should be in the line of the nose, or you're supposed to look at the tip of the nose. No, it's at the line of the nose, which puts you at about, a meter to a meter and a half in front of you if you were to be looking at the ground. And that's just a comfortable posture for the eyes. You don't have to sit like cross-legged or cross-eyed, okay? That's silly. So, because you want your body parked, you're putting your body in a posture where it won't bug you. That's the bottom line. Now, Alan Wallace, you may be familiar with him. He's actually a friend of mine. We were in India together back in the 1973, 74 together when we were both monks. And so he's, teaches meditation a lot. It's his big deal. My forte is actually teaching Tantra. His forte is focus on the mind. and such. Anyway, so he's good. He's very good at it. I even attended a 10-day course of his once just because I wanted to see what he had to teach and such. So he says actually there's also a lying down meditation. So I think yoga, I never remember the Sanskrit. Anyway, it's where you're lying your back, okay, and you have your hands to your side. Sorry, it's down. I can't remember the word. Okay, that's one posture you could do. And just in regards to that, being comfortable and relaxed is important. I have a lady friend who lives in Albuquerque now. Her name's Stacy, and she did the 3-month course of meditation. You know, the way of the style of Alan Wallace in Thailand, and it was in a hotel. You know, I mean, talk about a nice place to do a retreat. So in a hotel, there was a psychologist. There was a massage therapist. There was a place you could go swimming, a jacuzzi, and things. And they did hours and hours of meditation, but it was a really, really good environment and stuff. She did that for 3 months and got some pretty good results. She was really happy with it. And then she came back to America. And so she had an opportunity. She's married and they're both here and her husband meditate. And she had the chance to do a bit of a retreat for a couple months. You know, they weren't retired, but they were semi-retired. And so she got a cabin up in the mountains. It was really quiet and had all the food delivered and everything all organized. And she started to meditate. And she had 3 months of instruction on how to meditate really well. Well, no, it was kind of the nature of the mind. Okay, it was more of an Nyingma tradition, but it doesn't matter. And so she was doing it and couldn't get any results, this thing. And then she realized, wow, and so she started lying down. And immediately her meditations improved immensely because she was tense. She was holding her body in some tension. Now, most of us are not in retreat. We're not like super serious meditators. I mean, sure, we might 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. That's good. A couple times a day. That's good. But we're not like really intensive in a retreat. So maybe we don't need to worry about it exactly as what she was doing because she was trying to get some very deep experiences. But I'm just saying relaxation is important. So parking your body that it's comfortable. We're not into torture. And being able to then shift your attention fully to the rise and fall of your chest and such, and the mindfulness on that. That's what we want. Okay, so I like the example of like if my left hand was my natural breathing, so it's not shallow, it's not too deep, it's just right. My right hand is my mindfulness, and that's it. You want the two of them together, just like that. Now, what happens is we start to meditate and we start thinking about something. Luckily, we keep breathing, so it's not a problem. But the thing then, mind's off, wandering around everywhere. And then, I'm meditating, and we come back a little bit, and we're here again. Okay, so that's the first thing. I want to do the Glee Club of breathing, and we discovered posture. I want to open it to questions and commentaries, whatever, please. Okay, so turn your microphone on if you'd like. Or put your hand up on your Zoom thing. I guess it's down in chat or something. And identify yourself. I don't see everybody, so Shayla, if you want to sort of thing. But if not, then just turn on your mic and start talking. So if two of you start talking, one of you step down. So it's open. Or is the joke I have is the window of opportunity is now open. But it's not always open, so take advantage. So questions? I think Barbara had her hand up a little bit, didn't she? Or couldn't tell. That's Barbara Burkhart.
She's shaking her head no. Aaron has his hand raised.
Okay, go for it. Yes, I'm listening.
So my question was, does it make a big difference if our eyes are open versus if they're closed?
No, I don't think so. It depends on you as an individual. I have no problem in the morning and the middle of the day to meditate with my eyes closed. If I do it at nighttime, very bad. I fall asleep really fast. So at nighttime, one, I don't meditate very much because it's not my time. But two is I certainly don't meditate with my eyes closed. But morning or middle of the morning or some afternoon, I haven't got a problem to close my eyes. Okay, so totally personal. And some of us, you should check up your rhythm. You know, because some of us are morning people and some of us are night people. So if you're a night person, chances are you could meditate very well with your eyes closed because it's your normal cycle. For me, I'm a morning person. Okay. And if I don't quite answer a question, or if I don't quite get the question properly, please just clarify it again. I'm waiting. I'll be so disappointed.
I'll say it. I was going to write it in the chat, but I'll say it. This isn't about eyes open or closed, but it's a little trick. If when you are meditating, if you feel yourself getting too excited, thoughts too excited, if you look down, that can help. And vice versa, if you find yourself getting sluggish, if you look up, and that's even if your eyes are closed, you can still point your eyes up or down. That's just a little trick. Relaxity or excitement.
Yeah, it's quite possible. That's why the Zen meditators face a wall, because one is that your eye organ, the nerve of your eye organ, is very easily activated, and so you don't want too much stimulation. But what you're saying is accurate in the sense that the position of your eyes can stimulate you or can relax you. Okay, so yes, it's I thank you. Good comment.
Yeah, I like the physiology of these things too. Thank you.
Yeah, we're so lucky nowadays with so much research that you suddenly can go, this meditation really is actually, it's actual, it is functional, it really works, you know. I mean, some of the things that I find is when I was young, and I mean, I was in India, I was a monk, it was all on faith. All my practice was on faith, you know. No, I did the exercises, I did the things, but it was all on faith. Whereas now we can say, whoa, there's this research that proves these things are good. So anyway, we're really lucky, very fortunate. Okay, now, and the windows of opportunity are closing unless there's a quick question. I'm sorry, the window's closed. Okay. I want us to meditate because obviously I'm got to entertain you for the next four weeks. So one of the tricks I can do is I get you to meditate, and then that eats up 10 minutes or something like that. Anyway, I'm joking. I think a good teacher is one that can entertain you well. If they don't entertain you well, you fall asleep. Okay. So one thing that came out of Alan Wallace's work with research and such, and I quote him a lot because he's got some really good material and it's great. So he said that on average, your attention will last as an ordinary person for about 15 seconds that you can hold an object. And actually, just on a side note, if you ever watch TV, every 10 seconds on average, they change the position of the camera. They put a different face in. Why? Because 15 seconds is the average length that a person will hold their attention. Now, unless the subject's really good or something, like right now, I don't have, Jhampa forward shot, Jhampa side shot, Jhampa long shot. I can't do that. So hopefully you're entertained. But the thing is, television and psychology, they're very aware of how much a human being can have attention on something. That's why if you watch TV, they'll change the camera positions or what the camera's on to keep your attention. Okay, so it's a little trick. Really, we are manipulated by both advertising and all sorts of stuff so much, Anyway, I'm off topic a bit, but just so know. So on average, we have 15 seconds of attention, and then thought will come up or something. And so remember, I had my left hand is my natural breathing, my right hand is my attention. So for about 15 seconds, they'll stay together. Then some thought comes, and if you're not very well trained, you will follow the thought. Okay, and then you have to go, oh, and you come back to your meditation. Now, that's natural. And if you're familiar with the 9 steps of Shine or calm abiding in the Tibetan system of meditation, the first step is, my mind is crazy. That's actually the very first step of good meditation. I have no control. Okay, so we're all in the first step. We're just going to discover how our mind is crazy. So we're going to sit and take a comfortable posture, whatever you'd like to do. Okay.
There's a comment in the chat from Danny. She says, research lately says our attention span is about 8 seconds. And she says, blame the devices and social media. I have to agree with her on that.
Yeah, that's possibly it got less. I don't disagree. I mean, I'm just quoting Alan, so he said 15 seconds. So I'm sure there'll be other research. I mean, it's like in Buddhism, you'll take teachings from one teacher, and then another teacher will come along and contradict that teacher. And then you go, who's right? Well, just whatever seems to work for you. That's the important thing. And even, for example, in the Gelugpa, Sarah J. Monastery argues with Sarah May Monastery about some points of voidness and such. So there's always an opinion. There's always a different thing. But so anyway, hopefully we're not too tied with our social media. And in fact, actually, no, it just reminded me, I didn't turn my phone. No one ever phones me at nighttime, but I'm going to put my phone on do not disturb. There, you see, I just did it. And I didn't mean to have it in my pocket, but I did for some reason. So anyway, so make sure your phone is not plugged in or turned on or thing, because you don't want that. Okay, so I was just saying that at the time when you do find, you recognize, the key is I'm thinking about something, because it happens and we don't recognize. So the most easy thing is, this is my time of meditation, and try to just let go. That's the simple version. Now, we're going to go into other profound versions later on, but right now, in this next session that we're going to do, when you do, because you will, say you start thinking about something, just go, today, now is my time for meditation. Very simple. A Sakyapa Lama taught me that. Okay, so take a comfortable posture. Something from the Zen tradition is take one big inhalation, exhalation. Because that often drops some emotions and feelings that we might have been holding in some tension in our body. So just one good breath, and then check up your body, make it comfortable. I meditate with my eyes closed, and even though it's nighttime, which is dangerous for me, I don't think I'll fall asleep because I've got 12 of you watching me, and that makes me nervous. Okay, so comfortable posture, your body is comfortable. Hands in the right posture, head is just a teeny bit forward to be balanced on your shoulders and your body. Mouth closed. Now, something they don't teach in mindfulness is motivation. So just say, I would love to offer a more enlightened relationship to the people in my life, to the animals in my life, whatever. And that's why I'm meditating. So once your body feels comfortable, remember, we're focused on the sensations in our chest. It's actually the physical sensations. So just to establish, you could say, feel your attention's on your body. Body feels pretty comfortable. Shift your attention to your natural breathing. And it might take a few seconds for it to sort of arrive at that. That's perfectly normal. We have a good motivation. I'd like to be a little more enlightened. That's why I'm meditating. I'd like to offer a more enlightened relationship to others. That's why I'm meditating. And then just try to maintain your attention on the natural breathing as best as you can, as I've described it. As we continue to meditate, just check up your body that it's comfortable, that you're not holding some tension. It's just a brief checkup, not an extensive one. And then return to the natural breathing and the movement of your chest. And as we meditate, if we start thinking about something, just say to yourself, this is my time for meditation. Yeah, bring your meditation to a conclusion with a positive thought, such as, by my 10 minutes effort in meditation, I dedicated to a more enlightened life, and I offer that for the benefit of all. Okay, now in the chat, there's some messages. Okay. Anyway, so thank you for the commentary about the 8 seconds. That's fine. You know, it's not a big deal whether it's 8 or 10. If you develop meditative capacity, you can expand that to 30, 40, 50 minutes, you have 30, 40 seconds, minute, 2 minutes. The example that's given is that for basic mindfulness, you start to get some stability. And the example that Geshe Rapton, one of my teachers, said is like if you had a river and the top part of the river gets frozen, that's your mindfulness and that's your stability. But underneath, there's sort of this current that's still flowing. So as you get better at meditating, you're able to freeze deeper into the river, and there's less and less of that sort of internal dialogue going on. But again, it's something you develop. It's not something that sort of happens overnight. Even in the research that I read, it said that after 2 months, there will be actually some changes that happen actually physiologically. After 6 months, then definitely there's some changes. And they last for a period of time. And it's actually changes of the gray matter of your brain. I mean, certain sections will actually physically change. But if you stop meditating, they'll go back to the original thing. It's not like it's like permanent. You have to maintain your meditation ability. But anyway, so back to the thing though is that you can get greater and greater stability, greater and greater periods of attention. Now, one thing I want to bring up is the whole idea of concentration is not accurate. It's not a good word. And the reason is it has to do with sort of stress. Now, there is discipline and such, okay, but what is the definition of good meditation? It's the length of time that you can maintain mindfulness. So if you have short periods of mindfulness, you're still meditating, or you're not meditating, but the definition of better and better meditation is a longer continuity of mindfulness. So if you can get a minute or 2 minutes of continuity of mindfulness, you're getting to be a better meditator, and that takes practice. Learning how to play tennis or learning how to golf or whatever sport you might do. It takes some time to get the muscles to be familiar with the movement and such like that. So same thing with meditation. It's just it's an exercise and such. So in meditating, I have sort of the clarity that the longer my attention can remain focused is the definition of good meditation. It's not like some stress or some sort of like intensity or something. It's the continuity of that. Now, if it does require some discipline, but I don't want you to think of it as being stressful. Okay. So that's now coming back to again, the windows of opportunity or Roberto are open. Go for it if you have some questions, please, or comments, even comments. I don't mind commenting if people comment about something. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
When I start meditating, I typically do box breathing until I get into just kind of my natural rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that develop? And it really keeps me focused because I'm focusing on counting my box breathing. Is that developing a bad habit?
No. There are a variety of techniques. I haven't gotten into techniques. There's one I like very much from Thich Nhat Hanh, which I'm going to introduce to you. Then there is this counting your breath. I mean, inhale, exhale 1, inhale, exhale 2. They're all valid techniques, and there's nothing wrong with them. You do want to arrive at a continuity, let's say, a continuity which is just sort of natural. I mean, like it's just mind with itself, but initially using a counting technique, or as I say, the technique with Thich Nhat Hanh, it's in 4 steps. All those are beneficial. Very good. So no problem at all.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Each one of us is different. The exam, so right now, I do recommend natural breathing. I don't think that you should try to be too controlled about it, because you want to relax. If you don't relax, you won't get very deep, and you want to be deeper. The example for that is that, like, if you have a guitar string, and again, I guess you rapped and taught me this. He said it's like if the string is too tight, doesn't sound right. If the string is too loose, you don't get anything from it. So getting just the right tone on your meditation, like the right tension on the guitar string, gives you the right tone. But as you relax, then you can find that you can adjust to another level or a different type of tension on the string, and it gets deeper. So you could say you start off with maybe a sharp, and I don't know music well enough to say a sharp tone, and then slowly you get it to be deeper, you get it to be deeper, you get it to be deeper. And that would be something that is sort of equivalent to what we want with our meditation, that we learn how to be relaxed, peaceful, but maintaining mindfulness. So that's like changing the tension, or changing this, moving from one string in a guitar to another one, where you're getting, it's a little deeper, it's a little bit more relaxed, but it's got the right tension to hold the tone. Okay. So again, just some examples. Other question, commentary?
I have one question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. So earlier you mentioned different lengths of meditation times. Is there any sort of ultimate maximum benefit? Just like with sports, you can over practice. So have they done any studies to show, the height of which the theta and alpha waves are reached, after which they begin to stress or decline? Whether it's 5 hours or 5 days or 5 minutes.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, the best thing is that you're still happy.
Yes.
No, I'm serious, because
I know.
If you go too far and then you're unhappy that you're sitting there meditating, you've gone too far. And now that's going to be something that changes, because, for example, it might start off with 10 minutes is just perfect, because you're still happy at the end of 10 minutes. then you go, oh, okay, wow. And then, well, I like to meditate. So then suddenly 15 minutes is just so easy. And then 20 minutes. Generally, again, I'll just quote the research that comes out of mindfulness, 20 minutes is a good meditation. You've relaxed, you've got a little bit deeper. I know that some Buddhists do good 30 minutes because they say there's sort of the superficial stuff that you want to get out of the way. That takes about 10 minutes to happen. And then you get a little deeper, that takes another 10 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes is sort of like pretty darn good. But again, you might say the flag you want to look for is, I'm getting unhappy sitting here. Okay, you've gone too far. So it could even just be 5 minutes of, well, you don't want to call it happiness meditation, but just, I'm pretty happy, I'm peaceful. And then, okay, wow. And so you stop then, because you stop with a good feeling. Then you can go 7, 8 minutes and 10 minutes and 20 minutes, whatever. Okay, so that's one of the things on a personal level that's good to look at. And I'm still answering the question, so give me a sec. The other thing is that you do need to set a little bit of a time for this, like it might be useful for you. So often, for example, if you have other family members or you have pets or something in your house, you want to be able to meditate at a time when there's not going to be distractions like people flushing toilets and banging around in the kitchen and stuff. So you might want to be a little bit mindful of that. Okay, at this time in my house, it's going to be pretty peaceful. But that depends on each one of us. So each one of us have a different living situation, different things happening and stuff. So that's something to maybe take into consideration. Another thing is location. Having a place that you meditate regularly will invoke your meditative history quite quickly. So for example, sitting in front of an altar, that's very good, but some people don't have the space for an altar. So sitting in front of a picture, those things like that, that picture, that altar invokes, settle down, get in touch with yourself. So that's something you can do psychologically. Another one, of course, is incense. You do need to be careful of incense because a lot of the Indian incense is chemical. So that's not the best. So if you can find natural incenses, and why? Because the nose is a direct channel to the brain. And so therefore incense brings automatically the memory of meditation. So that's why incense is beneficial in the terms of meditation. We're going to go into those things in the next class a little bit more, but for right now, I just touch on them briefly, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. We're all friends, so we're just, I'm not saying I've got the ultimate message for meditation, but I'll share what I can. Still open for questions. Of course, I could make this dangerous. I'll identify one of you and ask you to tell me about your meditation. So you don't want me to do that. You want me to just, Jhampa, I have a question.
Okay,
Anyway.
Here's one.
Yes.
What's the origin of the whole meditation philosophy and technique?
Well, the philosophy, I would say, was like, what's the meaning of life? And what was the creator of it? So, different religions have different commentaries on that. But I would say the biggest place this came from, of course, is Asia. India and China were hotbeds for meditators. But and I can certainly quote from Indian history going back 3,000-4,000 years that they appreciated that the mind was sort of the doorway to understanding the meaning of life and why we're here and what's going on. Of course, then you have religion saying that, it was created by Brahma, the outbreath of Brahma or such, and Buddhism came along and said, no, it's a continuity of consciousness and such. So basically, it's interesting. Like Shankaracharya with his school of Hinduism and Buddhism, they are non-dualistic. So non-dualistic means that your consciousness can have a union one experience with the ultimate. Dualistic religions are ones, for example, Christianity, like God is there and I'm over here, and God is sort of like separate from me. And so I'm generalizing. We don't want to get too much into the philosophy, but Buddhism and such are non-dualistic. So on the basis of a non-dualism, then your consciousness is the doorway to experience. Now, because I mean, I have to say India was incredible with its effort to understand consciousness and experience and why are we here and the meaning of life and such. So if you come back to the hand example, there's the 5 sense doors, then there's just all of your personality, and at the base of your hand is what we say Buddha nature. Okay, that's the clear light, the Buddha nature, your most profound level of consciousness. So you shut down the 5 senses. Now, you do that in this particular style of meditation on the basis of sensation, one of the 5 senses. But as you get more focused and have better lengths of attention on that thing, as I said earlier, you'll go off of the coarse inhalation, exhalation to the sensations of consciousness. And on the sensations of consciousness, then you're no longer really cognizant of inhalation or exhalation, but you've got your attention is on the sensations that are generated. It's no longer on actually the inhalation, exhalation. So then there's that. And once you do that, then you're getting close to consciousness mind. And then you can go to the mind. So on the basis of, first off, I'm aware of sensation, that doorway. I get more focused, have longer periods of attention. Then I start to come into sort of my mind, but it calms it all down. Again, breathing meditation makes the body calm and the mind calm. Okay, but you need to be have attention. So you get attention, so you get more fine. You move into consciousness energy rather than just the physical mechanic. Okay, so then you're there. And then as you get deeper, then falls away the more superficial things, the thoughts and such. Like I gave the example of the river, it gets more and more frozen, so the undercurrent of little thoughts gets less and less. And the goal of meditation isn't not thinking. The goal of meditation is not getting distracted by the thoughts. So again, you must be familiar with the idea of like clouds in the sky. Your consciousness is the open space of the sky, and clouds can go through it. They're not obstructed. Birds and butterflies and nasty clouds and good clouds. And those are the thoughts that we have. But we try to be more based on the open state of the space of the sky. Okay, again, this is all coming in future classes. But the bottom line is that if you meditate very well, your consciousness can go down to a very subtle level of consciousness, and that then you can arrive at your own Buddha nature. And remember, it's a non-dualistic experience. So therefore, you could arrive at that very profound level of consciousness. If for Buddhism, it's non-dualistic. So therefore, you are one with the ultimate. And that would be then the basis of what we call realizations. Now, in other religions, that would be arriving close to God or something. Okay, so there's the philosophy of why meditation, because our mind and attitude creates our experience. What the heck's going on with my mind and my attitude? How do I work with it? And that was the investigations, and the investigations needed to be peaceful, shamatha, calm abiding mindfulness, and then insight, vipassana, or whatever you want to call it. So you need to get calm, you get better insight. You get calmer, you get better insight. You get calmer, you get better insight. That's the philosophy of meditation, okay?
Thank you.
Sure, good. Okay, I have no intention to go for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I think 1 hour and 15 minutes is just perfect. So again, any more questions or such? And then I'm going to give you homework.
Well, I'm a journalist by training, so I can't help myself. I'm sorry. One last question. That ultimate state that you're talking about, you just referred to, that is in different religions. Is it a process, or can you arrive at it and then lose it and work on it and it increases over time?
Okay. No, first off, this isn't your last question, so don't say that. Okay.
Well,
You've got hundreds of questions. Go for it. Okay. Okay. Again, this is for, if you study, Buddhist presentation, there's called the path of preparation, the path of, the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of seeing. Okay. So what it means is the path of accumulation is you get more positive. Your attitude is more positive. You're generally sort of a better person. You're more happy. You don't get caught up in your delusions. Okay, so you're accumulating positive feelings and thoughts and such, and it's becoming pretty strong. With that, then you have meditation, and that's where you get the path of preparation. And the path of preparation is that your positive state of being that you've developed is getting deeper because you're getting calmer and more in touch with yourself. Okay, so you get more deep, more calm, and then you call it sort of the path of seeing. It literally lasts only like 1 second. It's the cathartic of having direct cognition of, you could say, the nature of reality, which is one with your mind. Okay, so remember, we're a non-dualistic faith tradition. So there's not like you get close and you see the face of God. No, I mean, you could do it if that's your philosophy, and then that's what you'd say. I saw the face of God. But we're non-dualistic. So therefore, in your conscious meditation, you've been developed a really positive nature. You've got a really good sense of just dealing effectively with your emotions and feelings and stuff. With that, then you've added a very good level of meditation. You're really at peace with yourself. You're a happy person. You can get really deep. You're getting really peaceful. And then you arrive at this sort of very deep place in consciousness. And then there's this sort of cathartic, and that cathartic is non-dualistic. It's a direct experience of the ultimate nature of reality. Okay.
The emptiness.
Yeah, well, the emptiness in this case, but the emptiness is a term for understanding it. It's not the actual experience. But anyway, we can talk about the Heart Sutra. But anyway, so it is, you arrive at a direct, non-dualistic experience of consciousness in the nature of reality. With the
Okay,
understanding of reality. Okay.
great. Thank you.
Good. Good question. I like talking about that sort of stuff. Okay, so we're at we're 8:13 for you guys, 9:13 for me. Okay, we have 3 more sessions to go. My intention is to try to make it very interesting, a little bit informative, and to help you get better experience in your Buddhist practice. I really would like to say that spending time with your breathing meditation is not a waste of time. You know, we often get a lot of sadhanas and saying mantras and stuff, which is great, no problem at all. But if you can throw in at least even 10 minutes of just mindfulness, it'd be really good. I would recommend that. So my homework for you is at least every day, 10 minutes of mindfulness, please. That's all I ask. It's nothing great, but 10 minutes, not with mantra. But again, you start off with just a simple thing. I'm going to meditate to offer something better to my family. Or another way to say it is, I'm going to meditate to be able to offer more enlightened relationship to others. It's a very nice way of phrasing it because it's sort of not egocentric. It's your love for others. Okay, so you start that. Then all it is left hand's breathing, right hand's mindfulness, and every time you you catch yourself being distracted, it's my time for meditation. Okay, we're going to move into other techniques for dealing with distraction, but for now that's the one. And at the end, just say, "Hey, I just did 10 minutes. I dedicate that to a more enlightened life, and I offer that for the benefit of all." So there you have motivation, meditation, dedication. Okay, that's a nice package. Okay, so that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It's nice for me. I mean, I live in Mexico, and I normally have to teach with a translator, although I do speak Spanish reasonably well, but teaching, I like to have it really done well, and my grammar really sucks, so I have a translator. So it's nice to talk to you guys in English. Thank you so much.